This world is not what you think it is. This world is not what you think it is.
Here's the completely horrible part of this. Here's a point that so many people miss. They see numbers thrown out there. They see percentages. At first they saw mortality rates like 4.7. Blah. That was a lie from the beginning. This is not controversial. All of the experts have backtracked and said, oh, it's way more prevalent. It's way more all over the place. Way more people have had it, which means the mortality rate is way lower. Initially, they were just measuring the number of people who were sick enough to go get tested, and then the percentage of those who died. And they were talking about that as if it's a mortality rate. And some of us immediately said, well, what about all the people who didn't bother to get tested? Like who had it but didn't go into the hospital to get tested. Sure enough, the studies in New York, the studies in California, this is all over the mainstream news, studies in prisons, studies on Navy ships, more and more it's springing up all over the place that they find, oh, this is already way more widespread than we thought. Way more people have already had it, and a lot of them never had symptoms or had minimal symptoms, never bothered to get tested, which means the mortality rate is tiny compared to the initial reports. But what I'm about to say doesn't even depend on what the mortality rate says, and it doesn't depend on taking anybody's word for it. This is based on what the experts are saying about the whole reason for social distancing, which was to lower that curve. Now, if you are under the impression that when they throw out a percentage, it means like if 1% or 0.1% or whatever it is, if they say 1% mortality rate, if you think that means that you can flip a coin and if it comes up 1 in 100, oh no, I'm gonna die. That's not how it works. That's not how statistics works. That's not how disease works. That's not how they ever work. And the media has reported over and over again in Italy and Spain and the US, all over the place, the vast majority of deaths caused by COVID-19 are in patients with compromised immune systems. If you are young and healthy, your chance of dying of this thing is statistically just about zero. And the media loves to fish around to try to find a story here and there. Well, here's a young person who died of it. And they've, fished so hard that they were dishonest and had to retract some of them. For whatever reason, COVID-19 is very, very nice to infants and children compared to even the common flu. Way more children and infants die of the flu every year than this. I don't know why. I don't know what the mechanism is that's different, but COVID-19, statistically speaking, is not a significant threat to children and babies, thankfully. Lots of things are, but not this. Now, if you can say, well, over here, there's one story. If you find one person in 328 million who died of something, is that sad? Yeah. Is that a bummer? Yeah. Is that statistically something that everybody else should be scared of? No, that's ridiculous. There are literally 20 other things that are way more likely to be a threat to your child or your baby or yourself if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s. All of this is in the media, but most people just look at the death numbers and they go, it's gonna kill us. But back to the point, here is the main point I want to sink in, because this has been right in your face for days and almost nobody has noticed, apparently. None of the people out there I see wearing masks and standing 6 feet apart and doing all this. At no point did the government ever claim that standing 6 feet apart and wearing masks and staying home and shutting down businesses would reduce the number of people who get this disease. I'm gonna repeat that. Please pay attention. This is important. At no point did they claim that any of those measures would actually reduce the number of people who get this disease. And they're right. It won't. You've heard flattening the curve, and no doubt you've seen that picture of an arch that goes like this and an arch that goes like that. The area under the two arches is the same. That means they are expecting the same number of people to get this. All of those measures were designed only to slow down the rate of spread of the disease, not to actually limit the spread and how many people get it. When you see signs out there that said, help stop the spread of COVID-19, that is a lie. And every one of the experts has explained over and over again, the point here is not to stop the spread of this. That is impossible. It's way too late. It's utterly impossible. All of these measures from their own mouths, all of these measures were intended only to slow down the spread of it with the goal of not overwhelming hospitals. That was it. If you think you're wearing a mask so you don't get it, that was never why they said to wear a mask. After they said not to wear a mask, because they were all saying that first. None of this, standing 6 feet apart, staying home, none of that was gonna keep you from getting it, ever. They never claimed it was. They never pretended it was. It was just to delay you or a whole bunch of people getting it. They've been open about that the whole time, and almost everybody's apparently missed it. Down all over the place. What I just described, all the things happening in the US, well, some of them, there's more than that, negative ramifications of these ridiculous solutions, the US is going to get the easy brunt of it. The rest of the world, the mainstream media is already reporting this. The rest of the world is going to see millions of people starving to death from the solutions. And the idiotic media is saying, oh, COVID-19 is going to cause this famine. No, it's not. Government shutdowns destroying the economy are going to cause millions of people to die. It isn't this stupid virus. You look in India, they're not even up to 1,000 deaths in a population of 1 point whatever billion people. But the shutdowns are destroying the economy. And there's a bunch of people over there saying, we're going to be starved. We're literally going to be starved. There's people starving in India on a daily basis anyway. So all those bad, effects that I was just talking about in the US, that's going to be easy. That's going to be gentle. Yeah, tens of thousands of people are going to die from these solutions in the US. It's going to be way worse than that in the rest of the world.
I'd like to start with a quote by Ronald Reagan. A lot of them obviously are very wise. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same.
It's taken a big toll on our family, how upset I am about not having a choice to poison them or not.
Now, 5G technology and its impact on our health, combined with an unprecedented invasion of our civil and constitutional rights,
stand back, okay? Or what? Stand back. Threaten me.
through tracking and face recognition applications, forceful vaccinations with chipping, digital money and elimination of cash, deployment of abusive power by governments limiting our ability to move, travel, socialize, or simply earn a living, imposition of heavy fines and possibly arrests for acts of civil disobedience in defiance of draconian and unconstitutional policies under the false pretext of this or any future fake pandemics.
We are banning 1,500 models and variants of these firearms.
Creation of a welfare state through an implementation of a minimum income guarantee in defiance of principles of economics and Western principles, and at the expense of the future generations, leading to a complete collapse of Canada's economy, plus overbearing role of government as big brother. With shackles come the shackles. There are just few samples of what WHO, CDC, central banksters, Big Pharma and New World Order gangsters through the civil incarnates of the Rothschilds, Bill Gates, George Soros, Clintons, Rockefellers, and their respective semi-criminal foundations, along with Fauci, Birx, Teresa Tam, have been able to accomplish in just a short few months.
This is not what's written in our constitution. We have a freedom of choice, no mandatory vaccines. Open our cities. There is no justification for this lockdown. They're keeping liquor stores open and they lock BC parks. That doesn't make any sense.
They couldn't do it alone. To be successful in this genocidal enterprise, they needed lobbyists, mainstream media, politicians, corrupted scientists and researchers, and finally the trolls and gullible little soldiers aiding and abetting in this civil assault on our civilization. You could call them pawns or useful fools. A lot of them, equipped with intelligence and higher education, intentionally bought into the hoax and became globalists, very important, educated idiots aka propagandists. As Leonardo da Vinci once famously said, there are three classes of people: those who see when they are shown, and those who don't see.
Normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population.
The blind ones are the enablers of this hoax. The criminals like Bill Gates, Dr. Fauci, Dr. Tam would not be able to accomplish anything if millions of us stood up against this genocidal abuse of power and authority. Either way, we all have become the victims, collateral damage, or cannon fodders. In this country, Justin Trudeau, a corrupted, uneducated, spoiled narcissist in pursuit of his shallow legacy that would obscure his pathetic inability to lead a nation, is aligning himself with Bill Gates, Al Gore, and other opportunistic, sleazy, evil profiteers pretending to heal the planet. Justin Trudeau, due to his limited intellectual ability to process information without his corrupted advisors like Dr. Tam, will destroy this country for the higher cause of saving the world.
Normality, as it was before, will not come back full on until we get a vaccine for this. And as you say, that could be a very long way off.
Prime examples would be the pathetic support for his global warming hoax, the CO2 emission, world vaccinations, and wasting billions of taxpayers' dollars on corrupted countries through morally broke, discredited, and demoralized United Nations. I have no doubt that we are in the most critical fight of our lives. Win or lose, the outcome will be the most consequential for us, our families, and future generations. This will be our legacy. It's them against us. The concept of freedom and truth that's followed humans for as long as we've developed our consciousness and awareness. The preservation of form and pursuit and of the latter have never been more important. Truth is simple, but is buried under the layers of lies. It's like a diamond in a rough. Once it's polished, it shines, and it's precious, and it lasts forever. The truth is learned, never told. Freedom is priceless. It comes without a fight. It's probably not a freedom. Remember, the only real prison is fear, and the only real freedom is freedom for fear. Freedom is to ask nothing, to expect nothing, to depend on nothing.
They're gonna lock you down, you lose your job, you lose your source of income, hopelessness, depression, separation. They get healthy people against healthy people. Now they want to force the vaccine. What is the vaccine? Who proved the vaccine? Some guy who can't even protect his Microsoft against virtual vaccine. Now he's claiming he wants to protect humanity from real virus. There is no such a thing.
When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty. They who can give up essential liberty to obtain little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. The only thing to fear is fear itself. That's right. So, for myself, I'd rather die free standing here than live in shackles on my knees.
In the end, we win. So we stand, and we will not bow, and we will be courageous, and we will stand for truth. God bless you. Thank you.
This is the beginning. This is how it happened. This is what I heard from my grandparents, from my parents. This is the start of the dictatorship of authoritarian state. This can happen in Canada. What is it? This is not Canada anymore. Speak up, people. Wake up. Do the right thing. Do the right choices. You have to. Your integrity. You have to. Whatever job you have to take the choice right now and be a good guy.
Where are all the real men? Where are all the real men in the UK? With balls, with a backbone, with a bit of pride and self-respect, and dignity, and a respect for their own rights and freedoms, and those of their families and those of others. Why are men not standing up, calling this thing out, and resisting it in their mass numbers, as they should be?